Now we've gone over how to multiply radicals, but of course, yikes, there's going to be problems. They're not going to give you always easy, straightforward numbers. Some of them, they've snuck in some fractions. Some of them, they've snuck in some x's with extra variables, and they've made the problem look more complicated. But don't panic. You know how to multiply. So let's look at an example, and I've kind of already solved it for us. If they give me a problem that looks like this part, a fraction times your variable times a fraction times a variable. Notice how I kept saying times. With multiplication, you can go in any order. You're going to multiply your fractions times each other. Remember, you are allowed to cancel. Multiply your insides, your radical. Now, you're left with 2, the square root of 4. The square root of 4 is 2. Sorry, I made a mistake over here. And you're left with 2 times 2 is 4. So you solve your fractions just like normal, put that number in front, and reduce or simplify if you can. Now sometimes they're going to do other things to make you confused. What if they give you ones that are raised to other powers, or they are not a square root, they're a fourth root or a sixth root? They do need to, for right now, be the same number. You can't have to the fourth times to the sixth. That really would be your answer. For right now, don't try to solve anything else. But what if they give you a whole bunch of weird powers? What if they say Q5 and a Q4 and a Z6? Well, don't let them panic you too much. Still going to do everything like normal. I have a 1 times a 1 times a 1. Remember your invisible coefficients. Look at that. It's still an invisible 1. Then we're going to multiply your real numbers. 5 and 4. So let's get rid of the knowns. The easy stuff, get them out of the way. So I'm left with 20, and then let's figure out what we're going to do with our Q's. You have done these before. Q5 times Q4. I could take the time and write it out. This is like saying Q times Q times Q, they're all times. So basically, you just add them together. It's Q to the 9th power. Then I take it with my z's, and I do z to the 6th power times nothing else. So it's just z to the 6th power, and that part's done. Now remember, they're asking you to also simplify. So you're going to take this and break your 20 up. Now, I made a mistake over here, and that's why you see extra work. I started groupings of 2, but what do I need groups of? I don't need groups of 2. I want groups of 3, okay? So while 20 can break apart into a 2 and a 2 and a 5, it has to stay that way. So that on the inside of this problem, I am left with a 20. I could not simplify my 20. Now for my 9 power, I'm going to divide by 3. I could take the time to write out all my Q's, find groups of 3, and do it that way. But remember, there's an easier way. Just divide by 3. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Do I have any leftovers? Z to the 6th power divided by 3 gives me 2 groups and no leftovers. So I'm left with Q to the 3rd, Z to the 2nd, the square root of 20, the cubed root of 20. Good job, MsHunley. Okay? They might make them hard, but we can do it. Let's do another example, especially since I stuttered and stammered my way through that one. Let's try another. Let's do 5, the 5th root of 72w times 4, the 5th root of 6w12 times 3, the cubed, the 5th root of 2w9. Good thing this is just to you guys. Can't talk. Okay, pause for a second and write the problem down. All right. Now, first of all of your little indexes need to match. They're all to the 5th, whatever. Okay? Now, let's combine our insides and our outsides. Multiply your coefficients, your leading numbers. A 1 times a 4 times a 3 is 12. On the inside, I have 72 times 6 times 2. You are allowed to use your calculators. You're welcome to. 864. Now I have w times w12 times w to the 9th. Right? Remember, you're basically adding. You could take the time to multiply, but this is saying you have 12, you have 9, and you have one more, and they're all times each other. So I have 10, remember there's an invisible 1, 10 plus 12 is 22 w's. Let's just make sure I didn't miss anything. Used it, 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 used it. To the 5th. Okay, now, am I done? Unfortunately, no. Remember, we're asking you to simplify. So take a deep breath, and let's use our workspace. 864. We need to know what its primes are. 2 gives me 4, 3, 2. 2 again gives me 2, 1, 6. 2 again, 1, 0, 8. 2, 5, 4. All right, now that I have all of this, what do I want in my groups? Groups of 2, groups of 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Got one group. This one unfortunately doesn't make into a group. So my 2 comes out, giving me 24. And I'm left with groups of 3. 3 times 3 times 3 is right here. 27 is what I'm left with. Now my w to the 22nd, I could do the same thing, but don't torture yourself, just divide by 5. 5 goes into it 4 times with 2 left over. Put your square root sign. My index is 5. Please don't be as messy as I am. And there's your answer.